Hey guys, welcome into the Sportscast. Free NFL free agency. Let's discuss it with your host, Craig and Jeff. Hey guys, how's it going?
Howdy.
It's going good.
Going good. Good. I was been excited, been waiting for the podcast, man. There's been so many free agent moves. We're gonna get into it and discuss it and break them down here on the Sportscast for you. Saturday night, 9:00 as our show. Come join you YouTube channel and let's get interacting with your fans out there. Let's see. Let's start off with one of the biggest ones is Myles Garrett. All right, Myles Garrett talked about wanting out of the Browns. He talked about closing the discussion. We're not talking. I want out. I want to win. And the Browns said, "Hey, how does $40 million a year sound?" He said, "What? Come again?" Making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. $40 million. The guy's an absolute beast. If he hit the market, I was hoping my team went out and got him. We need a great pass rusher. I would have paid the $40 million, I guess, but they money whipped him basically, and that's when you got to decide at the end of the day what's more important, your paycheck or winning, right? So I think Myles Garrett was, hey, I'll take the money because money talks, right? At the end of the day. So what do you guys think about it? Is it too much for Myles Garrett, or is he that much of a game changer that you're like, hey, pay the guy whatever he wants?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's worth $40 million. We talk about the quarterbacks and how much they're not worth the money that they're making, and how it disables a franchise by paying one guy that much money. And I think it does the same thing to the Cleveland Browns. I mean, it disables them and handcuffs them from going and getting other people. And if it was about winning, it'll not be about winning now, because you're going to take the $40 million and wrap it up in one guy. So I think that hurts the franchise overall, no matter how good he is. I mean, yeah, he's gets his double-digit sacks every year. He's average at the run stoppage, but he's not. I mean, he's been there for so many years, and they haven't won. And now you're not going to be able to add to the. You're not going to be able to go get anybody. You might have to go and let somebody else loose, because you went and paid him the $40 million. They may end up having to cut somebody else in the long run.
I think a lot of people were curious where this guy was going to go, if he was going to stay, if he was going to go. And I can't really, I think I even did a funny short about that, particularly him, earning that much money. I think at this point, he wanted money. I think if he wanted to win now in his career, at least right now, I think he would have gone somewhere else. So definitely a lot more options out there. But is he worth it? Obviously, to Cleveland, he is. So,
it's interesting that the question of is he worth it, and I think Craig hit it right on the spot, is you're just taking away money you can't spend. And it's not like the Browns have that rookie quarterback phenom that's on a cheap deal, and they can spend that money with one guy. They've got a lot of holes to fill. And they also think about all the money they wasted into Deshaun Watson that is, that's not playing very good for them. Will he play another snap in Cleveland? I don't know. We yet to be determined. But
it won't be this year.
So it's just, I don't think he's worth it because the fact that they're not ready to win now. They're not, they're not there yet. And so this is going to eat away at their money. We got the Deshaun Watson money, and the Browns look like they're going backwards a little bit. And he is a game changer, but he doesn't affect the game. I don't think he's not gonna affect the game like a quarterback would, where he's gonna win you a game by himself, and you double team him, take him kind of out of the game. So it's just hard. 40 million is a lot of dough.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's say he has the game of the year, and has 4 sacks, which is unheard of. I mean, okay, that's 4 plays. What about the other 60 plays? I mean, you're only affecting a handful of plays a game to make that much money.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, I mean, it's only a part of the game itself. I mean, you're talking about defense, but there's rumors of Russell Wilson visiting them. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, whatever. But I mean, they're in the same position that they were going to be in anyway. I guess he's just now getting paid more.
Right. I saw an interview with him the other day. I think it was Bleacher Report that was asking him about the money and everything like that, and then asking him what made him stay. And he said, well, I asked him which direction we were going to go at quarterback, and they told me, and I liked the deal. And they said, well, who is it? And he was like, I can't tell you that. But supposedly there's been discussions between him and the team on the direction they are going to go with the quarterback, and he liked it. So that's part of the reason we brought him back. But I don't know who you could put in there that would make it flip around in a year.
Well, and there's talks about them moving up and getting a quarterback in the draft this year, and but that's still a lot of unanswered questions if those quarterbacks are going to be good. So who knows? We'll see. I think a lot of this is just leaning on the fact that he's getting paid a lot of money. And look, I don't blame him. I would $40 million a year with 123.5 guaranteed. Let's move on to the next one. All right. Max Crosby. Another guy who rumored to be leaving, rumored to be in trade rumors, but he ends up staying and getting a 3-year extension from the Raiders for $106.5 million, $35.5 million a year, pretty much there on that 3-year extension. Now Myles Garrett's contract has him there until 2030. So this Max Crosby is just a 3-year deal. A lot of money up front, looks like, but Max Crosby is another one of the Raiders. Great player. Great at what he does, but the Raiders are not good. They're not a good organization. They're not a good franchise. They don't got a good culture. Their quarterback is Geno Smith. I don't think they got better there. What has Pete Carroll got left? There's a lot of question marks for the Raiders. But I mean, Max Crosby's a beast, and I would have loved to have him too on my team. But anything stand out there for Max Crosby for you guys?
No, I mean, it's the same deal. They pay him to keep their guy there, and that's what it was going to take to get him there. Is he wanted to leave because he wanted an extension, and I think he didn't think the Raiders could give it to him. He didn't think the Raiders were in the place to give it to him, and they did, and so he stayed. But I mean, again, it's a team that has so many holes to fill. So to tie up that much money in one guy just doesn't bode well for the franchise, I don't think.
I agree, completely agree. I don't think again, it doesn't change where this team is headed. You have to make other moves, obviously, to do something, and so it's the same thing with the Myles Garrett situation. I think it's just you kind of put in the same situation, just less money for the team. So I don't know. I don't necessarily. I don't know. I don't see it as a big difference. I mean, it just doesn't. I don't know. These two teams, it seemed like they made those moves, and it was like, oh, okay, like that's.
I mean, they're not adding anybody. These guys were already there, and they were losing. I mean, to me, it doesn't change either franchise.
Right.
Well, and it's let's keep a guy that fans like and are familiar with, so they keep showing up at this point. That's what it seems like, you know.
Right. I mean, it's setting up an inevitable at some point to blow the thing up, but it's like you have to somehow go, well, let's have the fans somewhat excited, I guess. It's
yeah.
you
have to keep the fan base looking like you're trying to win when you're
right.
How much are you really? So
right, exactly.
And then we got Devontae Adams going to the Rams, which is interesting to me. Everyone thought he's going to follow Aaron Rodgers, which we have no clue where he is, or going to go. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I think this is a big move. Devontae Adams is a great wide receiver. It didn't work out with the Jets there, but he is a good wide receiver. Him and Puka and the tight end Higbee, Cooper Kupp is gone, but Matthew Stafford, I think this is kind of the Rams' last little run at putting a team together with the 49ers losing everything that they did this free agency. I think it's a great move for them. I think he's still got a lot of left in the tank. Stafford and him, veterans will get on the same page, and I think it's going to help out with Puka and open up this offense. I really think it's a great pickup. I wanted him to come back to Green Bay. I would have loved him to come back to Green Bay. We need a veteran wide receiver, but we sit on our hands and don't do a damn thing this free agency. But that's a different story. You guys think this is huge? I think it's a great get. I would have loved Devontae Adams back.
I like his skill set. I like what he brings, but I don't like the diva attitude. So can we curb that and just play football? I like it for Stafford. Stafford's had two guys that he's turned into, just imploded numbers with Calvin Johnson and Cooper Kupp. He's got two of the highest seasons of any wide receiver, got both those guys paid, got both those guys, a bunch of money and a bunch of exposure. And I think if Devontae plays his cards right, he could do the same thing for Adams. But he needs to come in with the right mindset of he got over it in the Jets and that was just a cancer.
Yeah.
100%. So I mean, what attitude's going to show up? Is it going to be the guy that worked like he did in Green Bay, or is it going to be the guy that was a total diva, didn't want to be on the field, didn't want to do anything? Give me the ball. Guy that was in New York.
I think a lot of that too is Rodgers and him together.
Right.
100% the divaness.
Well, I think this is awesome for the Rams. I think it removes. I think Devontae Adams needs to be. I mean, and maybe it sounds crazy, but he kind of needs to be away from Aaron Rodgers. Be his own guy. Don't just follow the guy everywhere he goes. I think that's just ridiculous, and you don't really come across as your own kind of player. It's like you can't really do anything without him, kind of deal. So I think him going to, LA and playing under McVay. I think that's again, when we're diving into all this, they lose one, they gain one. So I think it's a great swap, in my opinion. I think, in terms of what Cooper Kupp was dealing with this last season with injuries and all kinds of stuff, I think Adams might be a little bit more, I guess, healthy, for the most part. So available. Maybe that was one of the reasons why they were kind of like, Cooper Kupp was, they were not hesitant to just kind of let him go, because they knew that they were in the midst of trying to sign another guy. So I think it's a great match, and I think it's a better situation than what he had in with the Jets. And I would even say it's a better situation than what he was dealing with with the Raiders. So, I mean, 100%. I know it sucks, Brian. I know Brian's like, and that would have been actually kind of interesting to see him go back, play with Love, and have some kind of not rookie veteran connection, but young man, versus with veteran presence and maybe even a leader on the offense as well. But that would have been kind of nice to see, but you can't always get him. So
Yeah, I think the Rams got better here. Even, there's so many answers or questions about Kupp and healthy, and when Kupp's healthy, he's great, but when he's not healthy, it's he's not there, and so we'll see. But I really like it. I'm gonna be tuning in to the Stafford Devontae Adams connection next season. So another big wide receiver name on the list, and man, Packers were really big on this guy, DJ Metcalf, going to the Steelers. I don't think I would have paid him what they did. To me, he's almost 30. He's on the downside of his career. They gave him $30 million a year for 5 seasons. Look, he's a good wide receiver. Steelers wide receiver group's going to get better because of it. And he's that big body guy who's going to go up for any ball. He kind of reminds me of Dez Bryant. He's not a great route runner, but just throw the ball up to me, I'm going to go get it type of thing. And, I think the biggest question there with the Steelers is more of who in the hell's throwing him the football. But what do you think about DK Metcalf, and what does it look like for the future of the Steelers quarterback position? Let's dive into that, because that's wide open. I
mean, I kind of made a funny short about that today. To me, we don't know what their quarterback situation is. Obviously, they haven't.
Mason Rudolph's the only guy they got on their roster,
and that's not going to be the guy. They're obviously rumored to be. They're rumored to be focusing on Rodgers. Rodgers have probably, has been tied to them. Again, bringing back Russell Wilson, also tied to them. We'll see, I guess. Obviously those guys are also talking to other teams. Like, you hear Vikings, you hear the Giants, they got a good wide receiver. We just need to know who's throwing to the guy.
Right. He's going to pair really great with Pickens and DK. Man, that's a tough duo.
I think, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I don't know why, but I could see Rodgers going there. That would be interesting. Tomlin, Rodgers. But I don't know. I am stumped when it comes to the quarterback situation on this team, because I just don't know what's going to happen. And they got a great pickup with him, but someone's got to connect with him, and it's definitely not somebody on the team right now.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you got to keep those two from killing each other. Pickens and Metcalf, on who wants. I mean, they're already arguing over who wants to wear 14. They're, who's going to have the most catches. But Mason Rudolph throwing the football is not going to work. So you're going to have to go get somebody that if they go with Mason Rudolph, Tomlin gets that into double-digit wins, then Godspeed. Right. You might actually be one hell of a head coach if you do that. But no, I think they go get somebody other than that guy, and I like the move with Metcalf, but boy, I think letting Najee Harris go was a huge mistake. I think you become very, very one-dimensional now, and if you don't replace that in the backfield, I think that's a huge loss. So I think what you gained with Metcalf, I think you lost in Najee Harris, who's had over 1,000 yards every year he was there. The guy's just been great ever since he came in the league, and I understand that running backs kind of hit a wall at 27 or whatever it is, but I don't think Najee Harris is shown any signs of that. So I think that's going to be a loss there. So I think they kind of evened it out in gain one, lose one, especially if you don't upgrade the quarterback position.
The Najee Harris, I think, is a big loss. But I think the way they probably see it is this instead of paying him a contract, because this draft is loaded with some good running backs. So I think they're hoping to get one that can replace him.
Yeah, full of them.
The quarterback position I talked about, I put a little short out and I said, hey, I would love for Aaron Rodgers to go here. It just seems like it's going to fit. They got some weapons. They've got a good defense. Mike Tomlin, I figure like this could be his last hurrah. Maybe he's got a little bit left in the tank. But honestly, I think they probably go back to Russell Wilson, unfortunately, because the rumors are with Aaron Rodgers is it's either Minnesota or bust, or I'm going to retire. And I think that's because Minnesota gives him the best opportunity to win. He will. You can't go to a place right now and have a better wide receiver core than the Minnesota Vikings have. It'll be the best wide receiver core Aaron Rodgers has ever thrown to in his entire career. The defense has been absolutely outstanding with their defensive coordinator. He can get familiarity back with his running back and Aaron Jones. It makes a lot of sense. I would love to see it too, because the whole Aaron Rodgers gets to face us twice a year, the drama, the poetic
the footsteps.
That's fascinating. That's basically Brian. You got to bust out the next jersey that has a split Rodgers.
The poetry and motion. I would love to see it. I would love to see him go either where, any of those two spots. But I really would love to see him go to Minnesota. And a lot of people are like, why? He might beat you. Well, he might. But at the end of the day, I would like to face him twice, and it would just be funny. It would be a script that who would have thought? Who would have thought that would happen? And then after this, maybe he can go steal money from a poor state like Brett Favre did, and we'll go from there. But I don't know. I know you guys don't think he's got much left in the tank, and maybe he doesn't. I just think Minnesota would be a good fit, and I think it would be hilarious. It would be hilarious to face him twice a year, and the poetry of it, it's just greatness. It's just greatness.
Definitely must watch, especially the first game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Will he get booed in Green Bay? Who knows? Will he get cheered? He is a guy that a lot of he's easy to hate, that one. But he's a legend in Green Bay. So, what side do you lean on type of thing. But so the Steelers get rid of Justin Fields, which I've been telling everyone he's trash. He's trash. He's trash. He goes to the Jets. Is he their starting quarterback in New York? Because if so, my gosh, unless they go
draft somebody. I mean, right now he's the best guy on the roster,
and that's terrible for the New York Jets. That is terrible. He's not good. He's just not good. I've seen him play in Chicago. I've seen him play in the Steelers. He is not good. I'm sorry. And he's going to have a heck of a time trying to win in New York, where the culture is toxic and no one can win there because the ownership is terrible. I like some of the moves they made in the New York Jets. I like the head coach that they brought in. They, seemed like a confident head coach. The guy that said, hey, Aaron Rodgers, you can come back, but you got to meet this expectation, this expectation, this expectation. Oh, you don't like it? Then get out of here. This is my team. You're not running the locker room. You're not gonna. I believe it was a big reason why Aaron Rodgers is not with the Jets. I just don't think, even if Aaron Glenn is a great head coach, it's going to turn the team around, and you definitely ain't doing it with Justin Fields.
I don't think it's a great idea. I kind of laughed at it when I heard it, and I kind of was like, that can't be it. Like, that cannot be correct. It can't be the starter. I mean, I'm not saying that they were in a better situation even this last season. I mean, look what was going on there. But, I mean, that was on paper that would have been better than this. So, I don't know. Unless they see something we all completely did not see. These last few, I mean, it's been, since this person's been in the NFL, I don't really understand where they think that this is going to improve them, unless they are going to, like Craig said, get, find somebody in the draft, I guess. Like, I mean, I don't know. There's no free agent you would get other than getting somebody in the draft, and this is just a stopgap to that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Justin Fields is a good backup quarterback. That's where he belongs. He's a backup quarterback. He'll be a journeyman here. If they go out and they trade up and get Cam Ward, or they go out and get Shedeur Sanders or something like that. I'm not saying that would work, but I'm just saying that's got to be, give the fan base a little bit of hope. But if your fan base your hope is Justin Fields, then it's not looking too good there for the New York Jets.
I'd have to say the New York Jets, this has got to be one of the worst situations that they've put their fans in that I've seen in terms of NFL stuff. That's speaking from a Maverick fan. So, in terms of that, the hope, optimism, we got Rodgers, we're ready to go.
We get Devontae.
And then he gets injured his first year. And then he's out. And then they're going to go get Devontae. And then we're going to do it again. And it just doesn't work. And I'm like, as a fan base, I would literally be throwing myself into a brick wall because I do not understand. This was the most overhyped team for like a couple years. And then it just didn't work. And then they were just like, well, Aaron Rodgers, see ya. And I'm like, wow. And then you were like, oh, we're getting Justin Fields. Okay.
And they're going to need a lot of money from Aaron Rodgers' contract. And you look at what's so funny about this too is both New York teams are one of the worst spots in football right now. The Giants and the Jets. They play in the same stadium, and they are both atrocious. I don't know which one is worse, the Giants or the Jets. I get to see the Giants play the Cowboys twice a year, and it's atrocious. It's just bad, and it's just an organization without.
Am I wrong? Were they the most overhyped team for the last 2 or 3 years?
I think
the moment they got Rodgers, I remember people immediately just going, "Oh man, here we go! The Jets are coming."
I think the first year they were overhyped big time. Now look, the first year with Aaron Rodgers, I said they probably win the division and make a good playoff run. But he goes out and he gets injured 4 plays in, and then you're like, okay, well maybe next year. And I think the second year, to me it seemed like there was a lot more just questions of okay, how good is Aaron Rodgers going to be coming off an injury with his age? They go out and get Devontae, hoping to make that Rodgers-Adams connection again, like they did in Green Bay, but it just didn't work out. But I agree with you. That first season, they were just, these guys are going to the Super Bowl. We're bringing it back.
Well, the fan base was excited. I listened to a couple of people that are fans of the Jets, and they were all just going like, we're so excited. We can't wait, blah, blah, blah. And then he got hurt. And then again, even after that, they were like, well, we'll just whatever. This season's a wash. Let's just, focus on next season. And it still wasn't good. And I'm just like, wow, that's crazy.
Craig, you got any Jets opinion there?
Well, I mean, I think this all started when they got the kid from, before Rodgers. The hype was there, and
Wilson,
and Zach Wilson, and then he busts out, and they don't really give him a chance, and then they bring in Rodgers, and they're like, second coming of deal. I mean, this has just been one bad move after another, and now with the money they owe him after the post June 1 deal, they split the money that they owe, but still that's 2 years in a row that they're going to be basically salary cap, deal, and so there's 2 more years of average at best, and in that division.
Well, and that's what you get when you apparently the rumors are, about the owner letting his sons
off of Madden rating,
make decisions going off of Madden rating. So, it's absolutely crazy. And we talk about the New York Giants and a train wreck they are. One of the funniest clips is the GM's son is in there, and they're like, "Who should we draft?" And the kid goes, "You only get this job once, Dad. Go up there and get Jaden Daniels." His son, they're like, if he listens to his son, Washington, or the New York Giants are looking a little bit better, but he didn't make the move, and it's just so funny. The New York is such a train wreck. But I digress. Now, not many teams were on the Sam Darnold train. Okay. As Sam Darnold, I think after the way he crapped the bed in the playoffs, really lost himself a big contract. He goes to Seattle, who depleted their whole team pretty much, to kind of start over. I guess it's an interesting thing. I mean, and then you look at the guy that they got rid of, in Geno Smith, and I'm not sure if you can see these stats up on the board here, but their stats are pretty similar. If you look at it, they both, Geno Smith had one more passing yard than Sam Darnold had last year, and you're like, that's crazy because Sam Darnold has the best wide receiver core in the NFL to throw the ball to. So, how does he not beat that out? He had more touchdowns. So it's just Seattle didn't get any better with this, and the Raiders didn't get any better with Geno Smith. It just is what it is. I think it's interesting though that Sam Darnold was able to go here and kind of resurrect his career. I mean, he did get a contract out of it, but you look at the team that's around him, you look at the defense, and then you look at the head coach, which I've been really impressed with the head coach of Minnesota Vikings. And this is just something else he can add to his plate there of, hey, Sam Darnold came here for a year and I turned him around a little bit here. And I'm interested to see what they do with the quarterback position in Minnesota. They draft McCarthy last year. He tears his ACL. Do they go full train with him? Do they bring in Aaron Rodgers and let him sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year and give him some knowledge? Because one thing I do know, unlike Brett Favre, is Aaron Rodgers is a better teacher than what Brett Favre was to Aaron Rodgers. So I'm interested to see that aspect of it. And I think McCarthy could learn a lot by sitting behind Aaron Rodgers there in Minnesota, but they still got to figure out what they're doing. And are they full head with McCarthy? Craig, I'm going to ask you first because you are a Michigan Wolverine fan, and this is McCarthy came from your team. Do you think he's ready? Do you think he's ready for the NFL this season?
He was okay. He struggled throwing the deep ball in a lot of situations. As the championship season went on, he got a little bit better at throwing the deep ball, but you had to give him a ton of time. He's good with his feet. He's a good decision maker. I just don't know if he has the arm strength at the NFL level when the game speeds up. He made some throws in college that were, like you were on your edge of your seat, like, don't do that again, JJ. And I think those throws that in college that are translate to 6 the other way in the NFL. So I think a year of being under somebody and seeing the speed of the game in practice and learning footwork and learning that wouldn't hurt him, because just because he sat this year, he didn't get to practice, he didn't get to see the speed of the game. You looked at him in preseason, he hadn't really had great numbers before the ACL deal. I think it would be smart of Minnesota to let him have a year of behind the scenes before they throw him into the fire.
I mean,
Yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. I just say I think. I mean, it's going to come down to. I don't know if it's going to come down to money with Rodgers. I mean, is Rodgers going to sit there and want to kind of make more, or is he going to go? Well, I'm in a better situation here, so maybe I don't have to make as much more or more than what I was making over there. Plus, I'm getting paid.
I think he's still making money from
right.
the
He's
Jets,
still
isn't he?
making money from that
I think
team.
I think you could take
So-
a way smaller deal because
right.
putting the two together make the money, deal.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting. I think maybe that's Minnesota's probably take on it is like, well, don't take us to the cleaners on this, just like we got a guy. I mean, we could put him in.
I think
so
I think the fear in Minnesota right now on how they haven't pulled the trigger on him is, do you run the risk of upsetting McCarthy? Because when you signed him, you had told him you're the guy, and that was the plan. I don't think Darnold was the plan to begin with. I think McCarthy was the plan, and he got hurt, and then Darnold has that good of a season, and then they're like, well, I don't know what to do. So then I think the letting Darnold go tells you that they're ready to move to JJ. So that's, I think, the holdup in Minnesota is, if we go and get Rodgers, is that going to really piss McCarthy off and he's just going to say, hey, I want out of here, or what the deal, So I think that's the holdup right now, instead of money and starting and everything like that. Because, I mean, obviously Rodgers isn't going to go back him up. If he's there, he's going to be the starter. So, but I think that's the fear in Minnesota is, do we lose McCarthy by signing a veteran?
Because realistically, at the end of the day, I do agree with you, Jeff, and Craig, that letting go of Sam Darnold pretty much means you're ready for JJ. Because if not, why would you let go of Sam Darnold, who just had a fantastic 14-3 season with you, who's comfortable, who's got a connection with your wide receivers, to go for a guy who's 41 years old that you have a lot of question marks about? It just wouldn't make it. It doesn't add up. So going Aaron Rodgers would be would be kind of interesting thinking about it that way. And it's just a question they're going to have to ask themselves. And I think if Aaron Rodgers comes in and says, hey, I deserve this amount of money, and they're going to go, hey, there's the door. I got a guy right here we're ready to go with, type of thing. So, it'll be interesting to see what they do. And at the end of the day, the longer they wait to reach out to Aaron, kind of let him know that, hey, we're not 100% all on you. And if we decide to make that decision, it's going to have to be on our terms, and if you can either like it or you can move on. But as far as what,
I mean, my only thing is if they do get Rodgers, for how long, right? And that's the thing too, is like, if let's say Aaron Rodgers does go to Minnesota, well, what's the years? Is it a year? Is it a 1 year deal? Yeah. And I don't know if Aaron Rodgers does that. I really don't. He does not seem like a guy who's like, yeah, sure, I'll take a 1 year deal.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to know, as arrogant as he is, he's got to understand that his time is coming. And I think he worked a lot. I think he worked really hard to come back from his torn Achilles. I think last year the frustrations, and he didn't get. I don't think he felt like he left on terms that he could live with. I think he does come back ultimately if a team will have him. I was talking to the wife. I was like, I don't think he goes out like this. I don't think his arrogance will let him go out the way he has. And at this point, I really just think it's hurting his legacy more than anything. But it'll be interesting to see what Minnesota does. I don't think, JJ McCarthy will be a good NFL head coach, or not head coach, a good NFL quarterback.
Brian's already retiring him. Jeez.
Well, I've come out and I've said it since day one, so I'm going to stay on it until he proves me differently, and that's just because his arm strength and he handed the ball a lot off there in Michigan and relied heavily on a great defense and a good running game. And right now they
both those things in Minnesota.
Right now he will have both those things. Can he play with the speed of the game? If I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I'm saying, hey, Jaden Daniels, what system do you use? Because we're gonna buy it for this kid, and that's what I'm doing for for everybody else. You're gonna virtual reality this bad boy, and see if that helps. But we'll see. I hope they go with JJ McCarthy. Well, okay. I kind of hope they get Aaron Rodgers because I just talked about how much I'd love it. But if they don't, I would put JJ McCarthy in there and let's see. Because honestly, I would love to see the Minnesota Vikings struggle because they're my division. So I'm not going to sugarcoat that. All right.
So what's next?
Next is DeAndre. My bad. That was the wrong way. DeAndre Hopkins to the Ravens, where wide receivers go to die, just like Odell Beckham. Who knew Odell Beckham was on the Ravens last year? Raise your hand, because where the hell was he? Was he hurt? Was he injured? I don't know. DeAndre Hopkins still has a little bit left in the tank. He played decent in the Kansas City. Decent because Mahomes is throwing the ball. But you got a quarterback that doesn't throw the ball very accurate. He's lost a step in with his age. I'm telling you, it's just to go there to die, and they're going to rely on Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and a good defense, and they'll be a good team. But they'll choke again in the playoffs like they do every year, and then they'll be scratching your head. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, not a great signing. Not like I said, it's the graveyard of wide receivers that go to Baltimore.
Hopkins has looked terrible in the last two teams he's played for. I don't know what happened.
He used to be awesome.
He used to be amazing. But the minute he left Arizona, he has been a shell of himself. And I thought, all right, here we go. Put him in Kansas City. The one guy that can rejuvenate his career is Pat Mahomes. And
that would have been pretty crazy, actually.
He did not have any kind of numbers. Had a huge drop in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Something that you would have never seen 2 or 3 years ago. I think this is just a grab for Baltimore at this point. I mean,
it is.
Just,
I mean, if you can't get it done in Kansas City, I don't know what. Yeah, no. I mean, that's one.
The retirement line, yeah.
Right. That's the one where I was like, man, I mean, do we need to give this guy any more weapons? Like, and so when I saw the actual him playing with Kansas, it was like, this is not. Like this.
I thought the same thing with Amari Cooper going to Buffalo that would help Josh Allen, and it did not.
No.
Yeah.
So
we've got Cooper Kupp to Seattle. We just talked about that with Sam Darnold, the quarterback. Maybe he works out there. They got rid of most everybody else. I think they paid him a lot of money for an injured prone wide receiver, 3 for 45. The Cowboys were in on it at the very end, and they called and they said, we want 3 for 45. And he said, that's too high for me. And I do agree with Dallas. That is too high. Smith-Schuster says he's going to return to the Chiefs. 49ers keep their running back. They're not their running back, but their fullback. They let him go, but they bring him back to a deal. Two things real quick here. One, the Bengals, they placed the tag on Higgins, and now they're trying to work a deal for both Chase and Higgins. They're trying to get both these deals done. Pretty aggressive. I like it. Joe, those two weapons together, they're familiar with Joe Burrow. Chase is the best wide receiver in the NFL, in my opinion. He's an absolute beast. And Higgins is great. He's a great number 2. He would be a number 1 somewhere else. Get it done. Get it done, Cincy. You already are letting your best defensive player hit the market. And what struggled last year, guys? Defense. I don't understand that. You're going to let your best defensive guy hit the market and not bring him back because Joe Burrow put up 34 points a game and you let up 38 points a game. That's why your record was the way it was, because your defense sucks. You'd think they would keep this guy at all costs. But no, I'm sorry. I'm frustrated for Cincinnati fans. I'm a Joe Burrow fan. But getting these 2 wide receivers would be great. But they've got to do something on the defensive side of the ball. And just drafting guys is not going to get the job done. But it'd be huge if they get these deals done. I don't know if Higgins' deal gets done because obviously the number one is to get Chase done, and then they'll go back to Higgins. But they place the tag on him. Maybe they don't get the deal done. They pay him the 1-year high price and maybe work on something next season. But we'll see if there's Cincinnati. But aggressively trying to get those 2 done is a great move. But I just think your defense is way more of a priority with the season that you just had. So, and then the other note I want to talk about is the Dallas Cowboys that made quite a few signings, pieces here, nothing too great exciting, but I will give you, Dante Fowler coming from the Washington Commanders, had 10.5 sacks last year. I thought that was a really good pickup for the Dallas Cowboys. Coming off a season of 10.5 sacks, and pretty much he's your Tank Lawrence replacement, right, Craig? I'm guessing that's the thought of it.
There's been rumors of the guy from Cincinnati, but I think we all know that he's going to want way too much money than what Dallas
35 or more a year, yeah. Plus you got to pay Parsons,
right? And I think that's part of the reason to let Lawrence go was the money to keep for Parsons. I'm not a fan of the Lawrence comments.
I love it. Go ahead.
Well, but it makes no sense. He's right, but you go sign with Seattle.
That's the part you're going. You ain't winning there either, my man.
Yeah, you have a better chance in Dallas. Not that they're going to, but it's a way better chance in Dallas than you got in Seattle. And so you just kind of lost your point. I love Dallas. Dallas is my home, but I want to win. Well, then you probably shouldn't have picked Seattle.
I love his comment because Parsons gets on there and calls him a clown, right. And then he's like, well, maybe
tweeting? How about less tweeting and more winning?
And more winning. Maybe I would have stayed. And that's so true, and it's so funny. I love it. It's
less
great.
Less tweeting and less podcasting, and more playing football, and we're all in deal. But I do also like. They're not great, but I like the running back deal. They're a whole lot better than they were last year in that position.
Yeah. Picking up Sanders is a good
they
get.
At least have 2 NFL running backs, not a room full of high schoolers. And, I think you can now get one that, like we've said before, the draft is going to be very heavy on the running back. Get one of those guys, maybe the guy from Arizona State, late. They're talking about him being around in the 3rd or 4th round. I would absolutely take that in the 3rd or 4th round. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely be getting an extra running back. I would not put all my eggs in the Devontae.
Right. But but now you don't have to use the high pick for the running back because you have 2 that are kind of NFL, like at least serviceable. Last year you were not even serviceable in that area. And so I like what they've done so far. They still have a ton of holes to fill, but they've got a slew of draft picks to do it. So if you hit on the draft picks, maybe. But that division's awful good. Although the Philadelphia Eagles have lost a lot of the defensive side of the football, and so that's something to watch.
I wouldn't necessarily worry about that too much with the Philadelphia Eagles, mainly because of who their defensive coordinator is. I've seen that guy literally turn a defense that should have been done into a very good defense in a year. In Denver. I mean,
that's what he's going to have to do with the toothpicks and bubble gum that he's got left.
No, I seriously, I would not necessarily. And again, I know you're coming from a Cowboy perspective, but
well, no, I mean, you lose Slay, you lose Gardner Johnson, you lose. I mean, you've lost a lot.
Right, but I can guarantee you, I think he's going to have that defense playing as well, if not on par with what they were having before. I trust me, I've seen this guy do this. So it's like I've seen him do it here in Denver. So it's, I mean, even though that was, and when he was a coach, that was the year that we went into Dallas and whooped the Cowboys. Like everybody was like, what happened here? Like it was just a really bad game for Dallas. And that was a season where we shouldn't even have been in any conversation at all. But he literally changed the defense up dramatically, and that changed the whole season. So it's interesting, but I guarantee you, I bet you right now that he's going to have that defense in a different spot. I mean, we're talking about what they lost, but I just think that I would not doubt the defensive coordinator at all.
Well, that's what, when you win the Super Bowl, you lose a lot of guys. Usually, people come and pick your especially coaching staff and players. It'll be interesting to see. I do think, they did lose some guys, but Jeff, I mean, Vic Fangio is an absolute beast. I know with the Eagles, I just think it's the last team we need to be questioning in that division, just because they've been winning, and their owner is aggressive and runs the team like they should. Interested to see what they do in the draft. They, Cooper DeJean was a huge pickup for them in the draft, as we saw in the Super Bowl, picking off Mahomes for the pick 6, and he played great all year. They're definitely going to have to bring in that a cornerback in the draft, maybe. But the defensive line did take a hit. But it'll be interesting to see for sure. Any other NFL news we need to talk about that you can think of? Anything we didn't hit?
I think the Najee Harris to LA to the Chargers is huge, with Harbaugh and the Michigan offensive coordinator loving to run the football. Keep an eye out there on how successful.
I forgot where I was wondering where he went.
Of a success that is.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of my team, they haven't really. I mean, we've made some moves defensively, and then obviously grabbed a tight end that desperately needed, because we didn't have any tight ends really. I had mentioned it to Brian. I think all of our tight ends combined last year, 800 yards, pretty horrible. So and Bo-Nix, you can't really do much with tight ends that can't catch or can't really yard after the catch. Kind of important. So I think getting, was it Ingram from Jacksonville?
Yeah, Evan Ingram.
Getting him is huge for the offense, and I think because this draft is heavy on running back, I do think Denver is going to probably get a running back, because obviously, I mean, I know Cowboy fans are excited for Devontae Williams, but he's not the same running back.
No,
he's not. Not since the knee surgery, but
no, he's not. And the style of running back he literally carries teams. and his best year, I think one of his crazy games was against the Cowboys, and he literally carried like 5 guys, and got a first down plus more. So I think that's his style, and because of his injury, that style doesn't work. So he's going to either have to change the way he actually his running style is for the NFL, or he's going to be in the same situation, and you guys are going to see that this season. He's not been the same guy, and I think Peyton saw that.
My concern right now is blocking for him. So
and that's the thing. His style running back is he'll just bust through and he'll carry guys and whatever. He can't do that, not anymore.
yeah.
And so he's going to have holes, and
Jeff. The running back. I remember his rookie year. I was going, oh man, looks like he found a good guy.
He was awesome. He was so good.
It went flip a switch. You talk about your team. They go get Greenlaw from the 49ers, a great pickup. And, you're like, we didn't do a whole lot. Well, Green Bay has done almost nothing. I mean, we get a guard out from the 49ers. We get a cornerback who they say is going to replace Alexander. We still don't know what the hell we're doing with him. And I'm going to go on a little Green Bay frustration rant here because at the end of the season, Brian Gutekunst, our GM, come out, and I've been a big advocate of what Brian Gutekunst has done, and a lot of fan base doesn't like the guy. He comes out and has this speech and talks about emphasize the need for urgency and not being complacent. We're here to win championships. Well, what the hell have you done all free agency? It starts with you. It starts with you making deals. This team has always lived in the draft. We don't go out and bring in a big free agent splash. Now I get it. We did last season. We brought in Josh Jacobs. Absolute great get. Been our freaking workhorse. Okay. But you continue to rely on a bunch of rookies, and that's just not going to work. This wide receiver core, if we don't get a veteran wide receiver in here, I might lose it. We have the most drops the last 2 seasons in a row. This wide receiver by committee is not working. They went over what Jordan Love's numbers would have been last year if this team had caught more balls that he threw, like catchable on-target balls. And Jordan Love would be top 5 in a lot of categories in the NFL. It is driving me crazy that they have sitting on their hands and they didn't go out and they weren't in conversations with Kupp, and they didn't go out and try and bring Devontae Adams back. And there are rumors about going out and being with DJ Metcalf. And you don't go out and you don't get anybody. And I'm frustrated with it, especially with your comments. It's just annoying. We've done nothing in free agency, and we're going to go in another year. We're going to be watching We're going to be watching this young core wide receivers drop passes and Watson get injured like he always does. And we're going to be in the same boat at the end of the season, scratching our heads. And I just am frustrated as a Packer fan right now with the lack of free agent moves. And because of the fact that we went out and got free agents last year. We went out and we spent money last year, and we saw that it worked. And you don't do anything this year. You have a lot more cap space than you had last season, and it's just very frustrating. And I think a lot of Packer fans are frustrated with this free agency. But
oh no, I think so too. I could see it, but is it the drop passes? Is it because of the age? You keep talking about the veteran presence and stuff, just trying to, unfortunately, being rookies and trying to learn how to catch, I guess, in the NFL. I don't know. Like it's. What is your take on it? Is that what you think, or do you think that maybe things can turn around with now another year?
But it's, to me, that leaving it to that is just, what if it doesn't turn around? Then what do? You know what I mean? Like last year, that excuse of, well, it was Jordan Love's first year. We're really young. Okay, cool. That was good. That was an excuse we could use one season, right?
Right.
We're young. We were the youngest team in the NFL last year, and we might be again this season. I'm not sure. But we can't use that excuse every year. Oh, we're really young. We're really young. That excuse is not going to get you anywhere. I think we need a number one. And I think Dobbs is capable of being that guy. Dobbs is our best wide receiver, in my opinion. I think he's our best route runner. He's our most consistent guy. But I would like a veteran guy in there teaching these young guns, these young wide receivers, how to catch the dead-gun ball. And that's the most frustrating part. And then we've got to address the offensive line. We went out and got the guard from San Francisco, who was, they said, the best guard in free agency. So that makes me feel good there. But last season we had so many injuries, and when we lost Jenkins on the offensive line, it played a big part on why we lost in the playoffs. And this guy's getting through left and right, and we couldn't protect him. But so we'll see. I just hate relying so much on the draft every single year, and because if you draft wrong, well, that's it. I mean, that's it, and it's just frustrating to me this season. So, because I don't see a different outcome. We're going to compete for the division. We'll probably make the playoffs, but are you really going to compete for a championship?
Well, and I don't think it really works when you have two teams that are playing on a different level in the same division. So you have two teams that are consistently in the minds of everyone playoff wise. They're talked about constantly every season so far in the last 2 or 3 seasons, especially with Minnesota now. People are talking about these teams now with Minnesota and the Lions as being part of the whole playoff picture. So it's like now, and Green Bay is just like, we got to keep up, so, and they have to, because, especially with Minnesota, they're young, man. That's a young team too. So, it's with the Lions. I mean, at least there's, some of those players have been around for a while, but Minnesota's not going anywhere. So I just think that trying to do what you said, I think it'd be important. I would assume, but
yeah, you got to keep up, and you're hoping that the Lions fall off this year with the head coaching or with the coaching staff that they lost, but you can't count on that. They're a good young roster, and they've got a good head coach. Minnesota's there, and maybe Chicago turns it around. I'm not sure. I mean, you got a lot of question marks there, but the Chicago has made a lot of moves this offseason that I like for them. I hate to say that, but I'm just speaking the truth. They've built up that offensive line with some moves. They knew that's their number one weakness. So I think, they've Ben Johnson comes in there, turns it around, and Green Bay could be looking at the bottom of the division going, what the hell happened? Well, what the hell happened was you let your teams pass you up because you wanted to do nothing in free agency. And, I think for the longest time, the Packers have owned this division. I mean, that's a true statement. The last over 20 seasons, we've owned the division. We've had the most success, but I mean, we can't just keep living on that. We've got to go make some moves. And I know I sound like I'm complaining. We've had a lot of success over the last 20 seasons, but I want championships. I think we got a good team to do it, but you're just missing something.
And that's the thing too. And it comes to what you're talking about. I mean, I think that I have a feeling that that's the same situation that is kind of in the Cowboys situation right now, because I mean, you take a look at it, Philadelphia just won. The Commanders look insane, and the Cowboys are like, well, hopefully that can stay healthy. It's just, you're on that cusp of like, hopefully whatever the Giants do in the draft isn't anything significant, because last thing you want to see them do is anything significant. And then all of a sudden the Cowboys are in the same boat looking in going, where did it go? Like, what happened? Because the Cowboys would, even though they didn't have the same division winners and stuff, the Cowboys would consistently be, I mean, they own that division for a long time. So it's just,
even if they didn't win it, they were a playoff team, so it's interesting. But so let's transition a little bit, Craig. Let's get into some hockey here for a second. And the Stars play tomorrow night. And I saw something like this was going to be the first game there that's going to be interactive for fans. Do you know what they're talking about? It's going to be on TNT. It's going to be broadcasted for more people to see and more interaction with the fan base. I don't know what they're going to do with I've seen some where they put the line behind the puck so it's easier to see for fans and stuff like that. Is that what they're talking about? Or do you know anything that, does it sound familiar? Can you give it more clarity on it?
They're trying to be more fan friendly and get more involved. And I don't exactly know what they're going to do with the telecast. But I mean, they've tried to. That's what the Four Nations thing was about. And they're trying to rebuild a sport that for a long time has only been your diehard hockey fans outside of that, nobody really knows. So they're trying to make it more interesting for the younger generation. And it'll be interesting to see, but that's going to be one hell of an important game, especially after last night, because last night they had a chance.
Smoke.
Last night they had a chance to really put a foot in for the Central Division title, and that took a huge blow. They're 10 points back now with less than 20 games to play. They do have 2 games in hand on Winnipeg, but they did not look good last night. Now, I don't know. A lot of people say that because they hadn't played in almost a week, that hurt them. I would have thought that would have helped, but apparently days off is not a good thing. But you look at the season they've had, and
it's been a good year, a great year.
It's been a great year, but yet now Colorado's only 5 back, and here we are playing head to head. If we lose to Colorado, I mean, we may be talking about a wild card spot. I mean, and I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. They're 12 clear to the last wild card, but it really, do you want to play Winnipeg in the first round? No, you don't.
No, you don't. They look good the other night. Real good.
You don't want to play Colorado in the first round, and that's kind of where you're sitting right now. So these you better figure out these 2 teams, because you're probably going to play one of them in the first round, and you've never matched up well against Colorado. McHale and McCarr have absolutely, or McKinnon and McCarr have absolutely given you fits. Winnipeg looked like they were light years better than you.
I saw the highlights of that game, and they looked like a different level.
Yeah,
wow.
They were faster. They better on the defensive end. The goalie was Connor Hellenbuck. Looked, he let up a goal late, but he stopped anything that was thrown in his direction, as where Otter didn't stop anything that was thrown in his direction. So yeah, I mean, as good as they are, and as good as the season as they've had, there's a lot of holes right now that need to be cleaned up in the next 19 games.
Yeah, 100. And
now, granted, they are going to get a bunch back, but right by the playoffs.
Yeah,
they're supposed to get Heiskanen back. That's the best defenseman in the game. You're supposed to get Sagan back. You're going to get – you didn't have Rupe Hintz last night. There's your leading scorer. They have had 4 guys that have missed substantial time because they've taken pucks to the face this year. I don't know if the NHL
is magnet.
I don't know if the NHL is going to make a full face shield deal. The craziest part, Jamie Benn doesn't wear one at all. Not even the half.
Not even a half.
Not even nothing. And
let's just blame Nico Harrison for all of this.
One. Yeah, that's
the whole American Airlines arena is cursed now because of.
So have you heard that? Speaking of Nico, have you heard the latest on that deal?
No, about they might have to forfeit games because they don't have enough players.
Yeah. They don't have 8 guys. They don't have 8 guys that they could put in a uniform. They're going to grab the peanut vendor to put in a uniform because they're going to forfeit basketball.
Hey, Nico, you better get out there, buddy.
Because they can't field 8 guys.
It is absolutely
We made
laughable.
the finals last year.
And you can't put 8 guys from the G League on the bench. You can't call anybody up that is as good as Bronny James to fill 8 guys on a roster to play a basketball game.
Hey, Bronny James made a 3 the other night.
It reminds me
I'm kidding.
of the scene in Dumb and Dumber where he's like, and her pets' heads are falling off.
This is
100%.
I'm gonna make a short about that.
It's laughable. But I think Maverick fans want it. We want it. Hey, we want the misery for Nico. And, Southwest Airlines the other day said they started charging people for bags, and they said their comment on social media, because everyone was so mad. They're like, hey, at least we didn't trade Luka. Oh, taking shots. Greatness. Real quick, we want to get into some baseball real quick here. My gosh, bad news for the Rangers right off the bat. They're one of their starting pitchers. Gray breaks his wrist. He gets 106.5 mile per hour off the bat, right on the wrist, fractures the wrist. He's going to miss some time. And here we go.
Not
God.
He's going to probably miss to the All-Star break.
This is something like curses last year. We had no starting pitchers because they're all injured.
Evaldi didn't come back.
No, he did, but I mean, it was just like, okay, what's the point at this point? You know, we signed him back. He will be back this season, which is great. We're hoping Jacob deGrom doesn't, God, we need to get a voodoo doll that guy and keep him bubble wrapped.
Yeah, he's having trouble.
We're putting a lot of hope in Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, which Jack Leiter was not that good last season. So, but we'll see what happens.
Are they really pitching both of them?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be in a starting rotation. They're going to now, especially with Gray out. I mean, who else do we got? So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Have a good bullpen?
Yeah, we have upgraded our bullpen.
That'll be important. We have a shorthanded rotation like that.
Yeah, and we've got what's his face? He's been a bullpen piece. He's been a starter. He's been a bullpen. You got a guy in a bullpen that can be a starter. So we'll see. I'm hoping our Evan Carter looks better.
When your starter goes 3.
Evan Carter, Evan Carter's looked better. He's looked healthier. He's been hitting the ball with some power off the bat. So we're looking for a better season for the Rangers. And like you said, Jeff, with Garrett Cole, we'd rather it happen now and find out now than later on in the season. So,
well, good news on that. He got some. I guess
second opinion or what?
No. He got the surgery, but he got it done in a different way than normal. I guess like some screws or something. I guess the healing time is more like 11, 12 months versus if he would have the normal Tommy John surgery. I think they were talking about like
18. Yeah,
something like that. So I was like, well, I mean, he'll be back for opening day next season. So I mean, that's good. But it was the way that they did it. I forgot exactly the terminology or whatever, but it was something to deal with screws and a brace or something or some kind of contraption. So I was like, well, whatever gets him back sooner is fine by me. So I'm not gonna, it's just like, I don't necessarily know. I know that like when that happened, and there were people on ESPN and I think some people on MLB Network, and they were like, yeah, well, you know what? Garrett Cole's out. Yankees are done. I'm like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, we're done because of Garrett Cole? Like, Garrett Cole didn't pitch until like June last season. He wasn't even there the first half of the season. So I don't know where somehow we managed to win games while he was not playing. So it's interesting. And also we're forgetting about Freed as well. So I'm like, really? That guy's pretty good. So
yeah, you got his instant replacement right there off the bat. I mean, Max Fried's a beast.
I mean, I think they're also talking about Luis Heel, but I'm like, okay, he was a rookie of the year, offensive, he was a rookie of the year candidate and winner, I think. So I'm like, yeah, he's out for a couple months, but he'll be back. So it's like we automatically, it's like all of a sudden Garrett Cole went down. It was like automatically no playoffs. So I was like, okay. It's like, I don't know about that.
I know I'm going to get run out of the internet here, but with every team that has all these problems in starting pitching, why is the name Trevor Bauer just not?
No one wants to touch that guy for some reason.
Why?
I don't know. I last season I said, go get him, Rangers. Go get him.
And he's come out and said,
I'll take nothing.
$0.
Yeah. It kind of you kind of think it's almost seems like it's the NFL blackball list because no one wants to touch this guy. He's killing it over there in Japan, and he hasn't been charged with he got cleared of all his charges, and no one will touch him. I don't get it either, Craig. And 100%, I would take him in a heartbeat. Come on. But I've heard the locker room rumors in the Dodgers that he's cancer. Everyone hates his guts, but I would take him.
Yeah.
So I would take him 100%.
I mean,
just curious. I mean, I
don't know. Who knows why teams are deciding not to do it. I don't know if it's just the maybe it's baseball. Maybe it's MLB itself. So they're kind of like, no, we're not going to do that because it's not. But I mean, he's pitching. He's pitching. Isn't he pitching in Mexico or something?
Oh yeah, wherever he's at, he's killing it. I mean, he's killing it. It's all over. I watch it on YouTube. I watch it on Instagram, whatever. He's with these guys, in a deal making YouTube videos, and I mean, he still has a bunch of pitches, and he won the Triple Crown over wherever he's at, Japan or Mexico or wherever he's at.
Yeah,
he wins the Triple Crown of the league. Strikeouts, ERA, wins. I mean, he's just racking everything up. So I don't know. I mean, obviously those aren't the full caliber of hitters that you would in the major league, but I mean, the guy won a Cy Young. I mean, other than cutting himself with a drone, I mean, I don't know. He's always been his own agent. He's, I don't know.
And one of the things also too, I don't know. I think I'd mentioned this before. I'm not sure if it was on another episode, or I'm pretty sure I probably mentioned on another episode. But I know that the MLB and these teams are very reluctant to bring in guys young. But I would really like to see maybe the AAA, AA time to be kind of cut down a little bit. It seems like they're in there for so long, and by the time they get in, it's you're like, okay, how long do you have? Or Windows this, like, it's, I don't know. You have sometimes some instances like a Trout where it doesn't really happen that way, but most of the time they do not. They're just not. It takes so long to get these guys in, and then by the time that happens, their career is like short, and then it's like, all right, well, they're already 30-something years old now, and they're like, really? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. I think I know why they do it. They do it because if they don't want to hurt, injuries and things like that, and trying to adjust.
It's something about the controllability and the whatever they call that, the arbitration. It gives them more of a year of control. There's more some control, kind of time, more control. That's why that they sent Harper down for a month or whatever it was. And even though they knew he was ready, they sent him down for the extra year of control. It's some numbers game that's in the CBA, but it's still. I mean, the NFL drafts these guys in April, and in September they're playing. I don't know why. I think it's something to do with the CBA.
Huh. Okay.
Well, I had another topic. We'll save it for another show because this one's getting a little long here. It is that time, I guess, boys, to ask what is in your locker. Jeff, let's start with you tonight. What is in your locker, bud?
Work.
That's not good.
Not a whole lot. We went out today. I went and had hot pot, which is awesome. So it was like Korean barbecue, but we did the hot pot version, and then tried all kinds of different things there. I think it's like a one price all you can eat.
Yeah, you
kinda
pay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
deal. So it was cool, and then you cook it right there, and it's cool. So we did that. Got a new hat. I got a couple of hats actually. So this one's kind of pretty cool. The history behind this team. So and that's not a whole lot going on, man. Like I need to yeah, I'm just ready for baseball. MLB The Show 25. Excited for that. Yeah. Not a whole lot. I don't know why, but yesterday I played Madden and I got murdered by the Seahawks and Geno Smith. So oddly enough, it was weird too. I was like, how am I losing this game? But yeah, not a whole lot. What's going on? What's going on with you, Craig?
Nothing. Just absolutely ready for baseball and hockey playoffs. Very excited to see the Stars and what kind of run they can make.
100.
I was concerned with, the future that maybe the window was coming to a close after, deal. But when you look at that, look at the contracts and look at what they have lined up, they're really not going to lose anybody the next 3 or 4 years. I mean, other than Duchesne, they're locked in down the road for 4 or 5 years still. So I'm very excited to see what this run's going to look like and getting some guys back at the right time. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I go back to the late shift on April 7th. So that will be helpful for West Coast baseball games. Obviously at
a live draft show.
Having to go back at 9 o'clock in the morning, or having to go in at 1 o'clock in the morning. You're not going to stay up at 9 o'clock at night for San Francisco Giants games. So I'll be able to stay up, and to start the season, the Giants start on the East Coast. So for the first couple of weeks, there'll be early games. So
yeah,
I think I looked at it, and right about the time they go start the homestand is when I go back to the late shift. So I'm really excited about baseball. I mean, the Giants are like 15-4. I know spring training doesn't really mean anything, but I mean, it's got to mean something. So did my fantasy baseball draft today, and a guy at work, when I showed him the team, was like, "Are you playing with a bunch of like idiots? Like, how did you get a team like that?" He's like, "They should pay you now." I was like, "Yeah." So, anyway, how about you, Brian?
Well, been a crazy week at work. I actually took off Friday. We were supposed to go out of town to Marietta, about 3 hours away. As if you watched the show last week, I wasn't supposed to be here. But it turned out Fridays we're loading up the car. My mom and dad got COVID. My wife wasn't feeling too good. We were going to go to her sister's house. They weren't feeling too good. They were like, let's just postpone this thing. So here I am. Just been playing some video games, getting the house ready, just cleaning up the backyard and doing some house stuff around the house. I last night, I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a Kobe Bryant documentary out on Max, and it's fantastic watch. It's 3 episodes. Each episode breaks down a little different part of his life. The first episode's about him growing up as a kid, his dad moving him to Italy, growing up there until about 2002 to 4, and then the second episode is the rape charge against him and all that, and then which they talk about that and go more into detail, and then how he turned his life around in the third episode, how he saw him transition from the black mama to a great dad and great father, and then to the helicopter crash. So that's a really good watch. I recommend you guys go watch it if you're a Kobe Bryant fan.
Did they kind of touch on his like film producing or writing stuff? Okay, because I know he was really excited about that kind of stuff, and I think he even said like he cherished that moment. Even that was more of an achievement to him than even winning an NBA championship. I'm like, that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's
because
cool.
they talked about, him retiring, what was he going to do? He wanted to write and he's like, they laughed at me. And so what does Kobe Bryant do? He takes that anger or whatever and he takes it. Yeah, he took it personally. And they go into depth. They grab the writers that help him write that Dear Basketball and that won an Oscar. And they go in depth in it really, really nicely there in the third episode. So yeah, it covers a lot and it's fantastic watch. I love Kobe Bryant. So go watch that. It's great. Let me know what you think of that. Other than that, not much. Next weekend's gonna be fantastic. I will not be here next Saturday. Will not.
He's lying. He will tell us on Friday that he'll be on the show.
It's me and the wife's kind of anniversary getaway. Taking all weekend. I'm getting off early on Friday, and so I will not be. Damn hell or high water, I will not be here. Craig, did you get the damn dust bowl we had here in Texas? Did you see that crap?
Yeah.
Oh, I walk outside this morning. There's dust all over the cars. I'm like, oh my gosh. There's videos of 18-wheelers flipping over in parts of Texas, just flipping because of the high winds. And there was a big pile up because the dust hit and no one could see, and they're smashing at each other. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, the wind has been
it's
really
been pretty
bad.
crazy over here too.
My back fence fell over, my side fence fell over.
Oh my god. That sucks.
Is there a tornado? No, it's just wind.
Yeah, no, just wind. Wind in a 16-year-old fence. So luckily my dad's got a guy who hooked him up and did his whole deal for $200. So we're gonna get him over here to look at it and see what he can do.
Nice. Well, I want to say that our thoughts and prayers go to the state of was it Missouri that got hammered with a huge tornado, just ripped the city apart. They say there's a lot of casualties, so hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to them. But it's that time of season where the weather's crazy, and
for the next month or two.
So, well, all right, guys, that's the episode tonight. I wish we saw more in the comment section. If you guys want to get on the Sportscast on YouTube, comment, and we'll pitch your comments on the show. We'll interact with you.
Also, guys, just if you like the video, it helps. Share it. Obviously, we do this every Saturday, and typically at that same time, we try to hit that 8 mark, 8 o'clock mark Central Time. So
9 o'clock Central Time, Jeff.
Or 9 o'clock Central Time. Sorry, 8 o'clock my time. I've been out of the Central Time Zone for a while. So yeah, if you just share it and stuff like that, it helps, especially the likes. That really helps. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But thanks for anybody who, if you're watching, if you have watched, if something came up and you kind of tuned in and tuned out, also thank you. That helps.
All right, guys. Well, that's the show. God bless and keep it 100. We got to find the ending. Damn it.
Keep it 100.
Keep it 100,
What's he talking about?